My name is Dr. Deidre Hill Butler. I'm an associate professor of sociology, and I teach courses at Crossless with the Africana Studies program, Sexuality, Gender, and Women's Studies program, and American Studies. What is Afrofuturism? The term was coined by Mark Drury, a writer, in the 1990s to basically talk about having black people in the future, okay? And seeing black people in sci-fi, science fiction, seeing black culture as being celebrated. But actually, Afrofuturism has been going on by many artists and writers for decades, and expressing cultural knowledge and black perspectives in a world that usually does not value black people has been the main theme of Afrofuturism, to be included and also to be celebrated. Black life, black culture to be seen as important. I participated in about 3 different grants so far. One that's the exhibit here in the Lally room in the back is exhibiting, just saying what is Afrofuturism. So in the exhibit we have primary sources locating Afrofuturist cultural effects from the 1960s up into current day. We celebrate artists, musicians, writers. We've had panelists that have come and spoke about their own work. We've had presentations. We brought community, young adults to campus to look at the exhibit. A second grant was to bring Stacey Robinson, an artist who was from the Capital District but now is a professor in the Midwest, and he spent a week putting up his own work and doing paintings that had Afrofuturist expressions, where he mirrored hip-hop culture, African culture, aesthetics, and current Black Lives Matter political statements, merging them together in his artwork. And that has been an important combination to the Afrofuturism exhibit. In my own classes, I've taught a course on the Black Lives Matter movement, and we used this space as an incubator so students to come and reflect on the readings they were digesting, to see that the work was moving, that the work isn't just within text. It's artists and political commentators are working on this issue and these topics. I've also taught a course on African American religious expressions, and we talked about issues of faith and vision, and Afrofuturism has that spiritual element to it because you had to see yourself somewhere before you're actually there. And so that was an element of using the artwork as a way to reflect that theme of the course. In my Black women's class, sociology class, we came to the library and looked at how the images of Black women were displayed and shown, and in various ways looking at some of the cultural stereotypes and seeing how Afrofuturist work retwists that and removes it in various ways. So it gave a different angle, a different position to looking at how black people see themselves and are expressed. Out of the Afrofuturism exhibit, I think this is one of my favorite pictures done by, or creations by, Stacey Robinson, because he has the past, the present, and the future merged in the artwork. Afrofuturism is that, and I think this is a key example of that, with the indigo here, the cotton and the cotton seed emerging from the bottom of the piece, and the blood, the human blood and suffering that covers that cotton, that showed the dedication, the contribution of black hands to the American economy, and the struggle and the strivings for humanity of those who participated in enslavement. And then you have the touching of the human hand to the spirit of the contribution of cotton, and up to the top, but merges with the blood and what burns, which meant that even though from the ashes there was still spirit, there was still striving, there was still coping, and Afrofuturism really encapsulates that by showing the humanity and the striving of black people. Afrofuturism at its base is about Black people. So having the Black community here to see their reflections, to see that Union College celebrates who they are and that they're part of the community is important, is a main theme of, and reason why the Afrofuturism exhibit is in the library as a central space for the college. So it's a learning space, it's also a place that's open to the public. And so having community members here is important. So we've had fifth grade students and middle school and high school students come here for tours and lectures about the exhibit. We've hosted, we've had our panel discussions featuring John Jennings and Ronaldo Anderson and Rashida Phillips, who are all Afrofuturist artists and activists. Community members were invited and attended that speaking event. And even when Stacey Robinson was installing his exhibit, he had high school students collaborate with him in part of the work that was here. The Mosh Grant, its core meaning is to infuse science and humanities together, and my courses within the sociology framework have been emerging of the humanities and the arts. So teaching courses that include more hands-on experiences for students to see how artists use their techniques and their talents to express various expressions of Black life and broadly humanity, and having that as a more inclusive agenda has helped. So I think the college is moving towards thinking about interdisciplinarity and transdisciplinary work as a central part of the college, because it helps in building a more global and competent student and community member. This picture also struck me because it challenges and disrupts some stereotypes about Black people, but particularly Black women, and the use of the watermelon, where the watermelon has been used as a negative stereotype associated with Black people, and Stacey Robinson takes a photo and connects it to motherhood, connects it to the image of the Medusa, connects it to fertility and growth. And the image struck me because I'm designing a course with a fellow collaborator in the biology department. Her name is Barbara Danowski, and we are working on a Mosh Grant. We created a course on race and society where we're looking at case studies of where there's been abuse of science in regards to racist and sexist actions. So we focused on the Henrietta Lacks story, the Tuskegee experiments, and we looked at forced sterilization of poor Black women as well, but we're also studying what genes are and what cells are. So it's a collaboration between sociology and the biology. So my plans for this upcoming academic year, I'm going to be teaching Intro to Africana Studies, and that's a beginning for a lot of students to understand the lives, the past and the present and the future of Black people, and Afrofuturism is at the cornerstone of that. In collaboration with Robin Reed, who is the access librarian here at the college, who co-wrote the Mosh Grant for the Afrofuturism exhibit, we traveled to the Schomburg Research Library in Harlem, New York, to look at and to receive and to borrow first editions of texts from W.E.B. Du Bois and other activists and scholars, and those artifacts are in the exhibit here on loan. And we were able to purchase some artifacts to diversify the library's archives as well, because the mission of the grant was also to build up the library's archives to show a broader spectrum of participation. We've also gone to the UMass Amherst, to the W.E.B. Du Bois Library, looked at his papers, and found that he was writing articles and pieces that had future elements to it about the Black condition, and we included those papers in the exhibit. I presented at the National Council of Black Studies conferences. I've presented at the Association for the Study of African American Life and History conferences, where some of the material that's in the exhibit has been a part of my own work. So it's an ongoing, constant contribution and collaboration between academics, scholars, and community members. That's what Black Studies or Africana Studies is all about.